Hello and welcome to another video in our Zero to Hero challenge, in our 40-day challenge. Today it's all about glutes and core, my favorite. So what you might need today is a block, and that's about it for today. And let's just get right into it. It's my favorite. Let's get started. So find yourself in a Vinyasa child's pose or whatever comfortable position for your centering posture. Take a few moments, get all settled in, and even just a couple deep breaths. And even though we're so super excited about glutes and core, doing our best to settle down, feeling heavy into the earth. So wherever your body meets the earth, if you're in Balasana, that's the shins, the tops of the feet, allowing those hips to melt down towards the feet. Just feeling heavy. Let the floor support you as you get started. And then take the next few moments to set an intention for your practice. One of my favorite parts of our yoga practice, before we even get started, finding that intention. What is it that you are hoping to gain from yoga? There's so many benefits. Just picking one of them. It could be something like inner strength today as we work on core. It's really great energetically to fire up that willpower, that inner strength, that part within you that won't let you down. Or maybe it's something else entirely. Taking those moments to pick the intention that's right for you today. And from here, let's take a few slow, deep breaths through the nose. Really expansive breaths, as much as available in this position. Taking that extra sip of air at the top of every inhale and squeezing out that last puff of air at the bottom of every exhale. And when all three deep breaths are complete, taking your time, come on up, all the way up and back to that first downward facing dog, tucking those toes under. Maybe you want to try a little sneaky trick. It's just a little extra kind of calf stretch and ankle stretch. If you sit back onto the heels as you tuck those toes under and then lift the knees up a little bit, it's a nice stretch on those calves and Achilles. And then nice and slow, moving all the way up and back to that downward dog. Maybe even walking out your downward facing dog. And send the feet forward all the way to the top of your mat, landing in a forward fold with the feet parallel. Softening through the neck. And just feeling that space between each vertebra as your spine lengthens upside down. And then slowly, one vertebra at a time, ragdoll all the way up to standing. And inhale and you arrive, coming up to the top of your mat once again. Heels and toes together into Tadasana Mountain Pose. And let's just get started right into it. We'll start with some sun salutations, get a little warmed up, and head into glutes and core. That was so super geeky. My apologies. I just really like glutes and core. So professional. We're going to start with some sun salutations. Here we go. On an inhale, raise the arms way up high, getting taller. On the exhale, gliding forward, nice and smooth, all the way down. Inhale for a flat back, long through the neck. And exhale, down, heading back to plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale for cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Couple deep breaths, maybe walking it out if you like. Shoulders away from the ears. And send the feet forward all the way to the top. Inhaling for flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. And again, inhale, arms go up. Exhale, gliding forward, nice and smooth. Inhale for flat back. Exhale, down, heading back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. Slow, deep breathing. That's already 2. 3. 4. And 5. Send the feet forward, inhaling for flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high, getting taller. And exhale to a tall mountain. Just one more of A. Inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale, down, heading back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. Remembering to get some weight forward into the palms. Shoulders away from the ears, heels lowering down towards the floor. And send the feet forward, inhaling for flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale all the way up, reaching up high. And exhale to a tall mountain. We'll Vinyasa flow into our first glute exercise. So inhale, arms go up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale for flat back. Exhale, down, heading back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. From here, we'll take a three-legged down dog. Since we're focusing on glutes, think about the glutes. So right leg goes up high to the sky. Allow the left heel to lower down towards the floor as the top glute is working, extending the leg high to the sky. Then we'll step the right foot forward. Back heel stays up and come on up for crescent, where we're going to head into some lunges. And focusing on the glutes, what we'll do, I'll get our timer started. Back leg stays straight and strong, so that back knee lifts and feel like you're pressing down into the heel of that front foot. That's not super good alignment, but just to get the glute activated, right? Like we don't want to actually be up on the heel. But if you lift the toes, it activates that glute. You can feel it working. Then we, almost like you're pushing down into the heel. Again, it is the full foot, but just to get that glute working. And then we bend into the heel, weight into the heel, just to feel the glute working. And then feel a stretch on that other hip flexor. Inhaling to straighten. Exhale, bend. We'll just sort of get rid of the hands. Keep going. Really trying to get the glute working and not so much the quads. They will work. They have to. But mostly focusing on that front glute. Each time we bend, we want the knee to be right above the ankle. Mine's starting to tip forward, so that means my stance isn't quite long enough. So you can step your back toes back a little bit or front foot forward. It's a fairly long stance eventually. Keep going. Trying to use the whole back side of that front leg, including the glute. Keep going. It's a balance pose too. So if you have a wall that you can lean into, and I'm petting mine apparently, because I'm so happy it's there, it's helpful. Or you can work on your balance without having a wall handy. Inhaling up. I'm noticing my back ankle is on fire, and that's awesome. It's just one of the extra benefits to yoga that you don't really find in the gym. You work your ankle, which will prevent rolling over if you play soccer or wear high heels or anything where you could roll over on your ankle and get a sprained ankle. Sprained ankles are really common with, humaning. So it's nice to prevent that. And last one, heading down through lunge, stepping it back through plank for your vinyasa, either sending the hips back to child's pose or down dog if you want a little break. Otherwise, we vinyasa, lowering chaturanga. Inhale up and exhale, downward facing dog. And we'll prepare for the second side. So this time, left leg goes up and we let the right heel lower down towards the floor. Right leg is lengthening. Right leg's lengthening. Left leg is working, reaching high to the sky. Left foot steps forward. This time, back heel stays up. Come on up, and we do the left side. Let's start our timer now. Finding that glute. Inhaling up. Exhale, we bend. And you might need to adjust the stance until that front knee goes right over the ankle. Each time we bend. Belly scooping in. And we keep going. So the only thing I'm really focusing on is trying to use the glute, the left glute, working. And my quads, they really try. They're like, no, they're fighting for it. But don't let them win. Really target the glutes. Pressing down as you straighten the leg helps to use the whole hamstrings and the glute. Keep going. Scooping the belly in also seems to help. Find the glutes, activate them. Keep going, nice and slow at the pace of your breathing. So we exhale as we descend. We inhale to straighten. It's right about now that I feel that back ankle on fire. And it's awesome. And it's shaking, but that's weakness leaving the body, which is fantastic. Keep going. Same things again. Double checking that the knee is landing right over the ankle with each lunge. Pushing down as you straighten each time. Belly scooping in. Last one. And heading down through lunge. Remembering your options. Child's pose or down dog or vinyasa. Back through plank. Lowering chaturanga. Inhale up. And exhale. Downward facing dog. Couple deep breaths. And then lowering all the way to seated. Feet forward, Dandasana staff pose. Then we lower all the way back down for some quick yogi sit-ups. Now I could use the yellow timer, but I'm just using the blue. You don't need to know specifically how long that is. Heading back. Remember, we can, if you're not quite ready for the full variation with the head off the floor, keep the head on the floor and we'll begin. If you're going for that full variation, head off the floor, fingertips behind the head. Right leg extends. We'll get us started. Right elbow to left knee. Maybe it touches, maybe it doesn't. Inhale back to center. Exhale other side. Inhale back to center. And keep going. And even though your belly's working like crazy, still pulling it in towards the spine. So the pace of your breathing. Almost done. And release. Just let the belly soften for a moment. A couple deep breaths here. So after every exercise, we get to completely relax. I like to really baby steps, even like we're baby stepping our entire challenge one day at a time, but even within each class, baby steps. I find it so much easier when step one is you just have to show up, and then step two is you do the hard thing, and then you get to rest. From here, let's rock and roll all the way up. So a couple times, couple little rocks and roll all the way up. And either just wait, or if you want an extra challenge, little vinyasa, back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale up, and you might feel a nice tummy stretch here. And exhale, downward facing dog. Couple deep breaths. And lowering through hands and knees. Another one of my favorites is our leg extensions behind us. I'm going to sort of walk forward so I have room behind me. And from hands and knees, extend your right leg back. So it's not super high. We're targeting the glute. And back. Other side. And back. Keep going. We're trying to keep the hips relatively stuck in space. They will move a little bit. It's just the nature of the game. But really trying to keep the belly scooped in so that you're not arching through the back. And we're really targeting the glutes each and every time. Just one leg goes up, sending it back, and the other. Like you're moving through molasses a little bit, so a little bit of resistance to bring that leg up. Keep going. Almost done. And heading back into child's pose. Taking a moment to completely relax. Went on for too long. I could just rest there for a nap after the few exercises we did, but there's time for that later. For this next one, I'm going to start a timer now. It's the same thing, but to the side. Okay, so one leg goes up and to the side. I can see that on camera. Other leg to the side. It's the awkwarder version. More awkward version. I'm pretty sure awkwarder isn't a word, so we won't use that. It's the more awkward variation. One knee goes up, and then it goes down. And then the other one goes up, and then it goes down. Keep going. I do feel like this is going easier than the last time we did this, a week ago or whenever that was. So if this strengthening bit really does work, we do get stronger. Are you feeling like you're getting stronger? I feel like I'm getting stronger. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Almost done. Last few. And child's pose. Oh. It's almost like the first set of leg extensions aren't so bad, but then yowza. Really softening. Completely relaxing. And from here, we'll lay all the way onto our backs again. But maybe if you do have a block handy, we'll find it now and place it near us as we lower back. So if you haven't already noticed a pattern forming, we're sort of flip-flopping glutes, core, glutes, core, glutes, core. Because as they say, a change is as good as a rest. Not true, I'll take my rest as well. Yogi sit-ups, one more round. Remembering your modifications. Here we go. Extending one leg, opposite elbow to knee, and back to center. Nice and slow. Trying to remember all of those little details that we did in the very first glutes and core. Remember when we did our core exercise on the block where we used our pelvic floor, pulling it up as well as we scooped the belly in? All those same things we can employ now. And it'll make, like, we're here anyways, we're doing these silly yogi sit-ups anyways, may as well get the pelvic floor working and the core so that everything, it's more efficient, right? Why not? We're here anyways. Keep going. If you're noticing that you're fatiguing a little bit quicker than the first round, that is normal, just so you know. So you are welcome to, like, now bring the head down to the floor and keep going. And it's just a little bit easier. Pelvic floor pulling up, you can even focus more on correct alignment. So if that's where you need to be, no problem. I'm noticing I'm feeling a little bit more fatigued. I'm kind of needing that little rest. So keep going if you can. Take modifications wherever you need to. Remember, if you force too much through something, you're not getting stronger. If you lose the alignment, you're actually setting yourself back. And relax. Softening through the belly. Take that full relax. Couple deep breaths. Let the belly soften, soften, soften. And then preparing for our dynamic bridge pose. So taking the block, placing it between the knees. I can feel my legs are shaking. That's so awesome. Shaking is weakness leaving the body, and that's awesome. So I have to adjust my ponytail. Laying back, ready for a dynamic bridge. So feet on the floor. Here we go. Little bit, not too much, squeezing into the block as we raise the hips all the way up. And then lowering all the way down, barely touching the earth, and send the hips back up again. Still squeezing that block. Notice if the legs are shaking and being super okay with it. It means you're getting stronger. Keep going. Trying to keep equal weight on each foot. We're almost done. And release. Letting go of your block. And just let the glutes soften, relax. A couple deep breaths, because we can. Okay, so this next one, also for the core, it's one of my favorites as well. It's for the core and the hip flexors, getting them stronger too. So we start by extending the legs up high to the sky and then lowering them a little bit. So not a lot, just a little bit. And then we crisscross. So step the feet apart, not too much. Cross one ankle in front of the other. Step the feet apart, other side crisscross. And you just keep going. That's it. Keep going. Try to keep the low back on the floor by pressing the belly down into the floor. If it's too much, bend the legs a lot, and that'll help. If you can, extending them all the way straight. For our last little bit, see if you can scoop the belly in even more and the pelvic floor pulls up, up, up. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bending the knees in, maybe even hugging the knees in. From here, we'll head into a little stretch. Little rock all the way up and back. Little rock all the way up and back. Once more, all the way up. I just realized how messy my hair is at this moment, and I don't care. It means I'm working hard. Okay, so either grab a child's pose or a down dog, or for extra challenge, Vinyasa, back through plank, lowering chaturanga, inhaling up, exhale, downward facing dog. From here, once again, lowering all the way to the belly, preparing for a little back bend. So maybe Sphinx is a great place for you in your back bend right now. If that's the case, go ahead and head into Sphinx, forearms on the floor. If you want to go a bit further, seal. If you want to go a little bit further, Cobra, softening and melting. So yin style. We're not there as long as we do in our yin classes, but just a little stretch. Couple deep breaths. We're preparing, while we're in our stretch here, for Urdhva Dhanurasana. That's upward facing bow, or in gymnastics known as bridge pose. So on your feet and your hands. If that's too much for you, you do not need to do that pose. You could either repeat this pose, or if you're looking for shoulder mobility, you can do Anahatasana, heart chakra pose. Okay, so lowering, 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 lowering. From here, find a child's pose. We'll do Anahatasana, heart chakra pose in just a moment, just so you are reacquainted with that one. Come on up through hands and knees. So for Anahatasana, the hips stay above the knees and we lower the heart towards the floor. And we're trying to target the shoulders a bit in the mid-back, okay? So those are your options. Either do Urdhva Dhanurasana with me, or if that's too much, choose what you feel like doing today. Do you feel like a shoulder opener, or do you feel like a back bend? Because both of those two things are the elements required to do Urdhva Dhanurasana. If you're feeling up for Urdhva Dhanurasana, well, then give your pants a little hike up and join me. We'll head back down onto our backs and bend the knees. Feet are hip distance apart, parallel. Or if you're like, well, I'm not the best at this one yet, a fun little cheat is step those feet like mat width apart. It makes it a lot more accessible. Hands beneath the shoulders, not beneath the neck, okay? So for me, I like to have my pinky fingers on the outside of that so I know that they're not super close to my neck. And then when you're ready, pressing up to the top of the head, taking a moment there. And when you're ready, straightening through the arms. Few deep breaths. And then lowering all the way down to the floor. When you feel ready, hugging your knees into your chest, Apanasana. And then we rock and roll again. So we rock almost all the way up to seated and back. Almost all the way up and back. One more, all the way up. And either just wait, or for extra challenge, we will Vinyasa, heading back through plank and lowering chaturanga. Inhale, up, and exhale, downward facing dog. From here, let's take a three-legged down dog. Right leg sweeps to the sky. We'll stretch that all out. Right foot steps forward, preparing for Gecko. Back knee gently lowers down. So if Gecko is not available to you, feel free to lay down on your side and bend one leg to get that quad stretch. If you're heading into Gecko, pop those back toes off the floor, finding those toes for a nice stretch. We're not here too long. Just a few deep breaths. And if you do have your foot all the way to the hip, feel free to switch arms and allow the hips to sink down so we can go even further. Isn't that fun? Once you get all the way there, there's always further. There's always further. And release. Either heading right back to downward dog, or for extra challenge, Vinyasa, back to plank, lowering chaturanga. Inhale up and exhale, downward facing dog. Other side, left leg sweeps to the sky for three-legged. And stepping up forward, preparing for Gecko. Back knee gently lowers. Opposite foot to hand. Once again, if you do have the foot all the way to the hip, switching heads. And release. Same options again, a downward dog or extra challenge vinyasa, back through plank, lowering chaturanga. Inhaling up. And exhale, downward facing dog. And from here, lowering all the way to seated Dandasana, staff pose, and preparing for another stretch. So this one's kind of awkward. I don't actually remember if we've done this one. We may not have done this one, but it is one-legged hero pose. So what we'll do is start with the left leg first because of camera angle. I think you'll be able to see my left side first. So left leg bends like hero. Okay, I'm actually going to move forward on my mat because eventually we lay down with this one. So if your knee will not go like that, that's fine. You can either repeat gecko or the quad stretch where if you can't quite do gecko, lay on your side and bend one leg. Okay, so we're targeting the quadriceps again. But the benefit to this one, if you can get that knee to bend and can get into hero pose, is you might feel a little bit of a knee stretch. You might even feel an ankle stretch. So these are all good things as long as it's not too much. Then we lay back as much as you can. This is where a bolster comes in handy, or pillows, right? You don't need the expensive equipment. Nice to have, but you don't need to have them. Or maybe you can lay all the way back. Wherever you're at, wherever you get stuck. Oops, my knee's popping off the floor. Don't do that. We're supposed to stay down like that there. Then if you're not feeling the stretch there, you can bend the other leg and place the foot on the floor. And we're trying to actually target the glutes. So if you're quite flexible there, if I just kind of go blah, I don't feel a stretch. But what I do is draw my knee inward, the one that's on the floor, in towards my other knee. Tuck the tailbone under and try to bring the low back to the floor. And all of a sudden, that's quite a big stretch. It's a bit of a choose your own adventure to find the stretch, but not too much. Not here too long. To come out. If you're all the way down on the floor, you can just release the leg and rock and roll back up. Or you can reverse course, other side. So this time right leg bends as in hero, and then leaning back as much as available. Now keep in mind with this one, sometimes there's one side that cooperates a bit better than the other. So don't just flop back. Take the same care and attention as you did the first side to just see, okay, how far can I move back? Is it still okay? Just a few deep breaths here. And slowly reverse course or release and rock and roll all the way up. I like to do a couple of rocks and rolls. Either just wait here for a second, or for extra challenge, we vinyasa back to plank. Lowering chaturanga. Inhaling up. And exhale, downward facing dog. And then lowering all the way to seated Dandasana staff pose. Heading into another stretch, Baddha Konasana, bound angle. For this one, choices. You could do like a diamond shape for just a bit different stretch, or bring the soles of the feet all the way in close to the body, whichever you prefer. Inhaling to lengthen, and exhale, forward fold. We'll hold this one a couple minutes after our glutes and core strengthening class today. And slowly, slowly start to come up. Returning to Dandasana staff pose. Maybe a couple little knee taps. If you can, just take a moment to think about when we did Baddha Konasana today. So actually I'll get you set up on the next pose and we'll talk. So straddle, or it's not really Upavishta Konasana, just a stretch, so yin style, right in the middle of our Vinyasa class. So stepping the feet apart. This time it can be as far as they want to go today. Whereas in Hatha Yoga, if you do Upavishta Konasana, you want to make sure it's not too far. So from here, oh, my blankies. That's okay. Okay, we're in. So when you were doing your Baddha Konasana, did it feel different when you tossed it into a Vinyasa style class after maybe legs are shaking, after using those muscles, after the muscles are warm, than when we do yin? I know mine felt very different. It's hard to explain how, though, I feel. That's something else I would love to hear. We can't really talk about that in class because you're not here with me, but I feel like a broken record saying that. I'm not trying to convince you to post comments, but it is the way that we can chat. If you do feel a difference, I'd love to hear about it and talk about that a little bit. This is one of the other benefits to online yoga practice. It's hard because you're like behind a computer screen and you're at home and I'm at home and we're doing yoga together, but not talking. So that is one of the ways that we can discuss yoga too, even more so than we do in person because, I mean, let's face it, I talk a lot during class when I teach, but oftentimes, you know, you go into a Vinyasa style class and you do the poses and then you just leave, right? You go back to work or back out into your life. So this is an opportunity where we can have a bit of a community discussion if you want to. Almost done. And slowly, slowly start to come up. We'll head back into Dandasana staff pose, but once you get there, we'll lay all the way back. My feet are having troubles. Legs feeling like wet noodles. Laying all the way back and preparing for twisted roots. So we'll bend the knees, cross right leg all the way over left, and sending the knees over to the left as the hips shift to the right. To come up, scoop the belly in, press the low back into the floor, and then slowly squaring everything up. In between sides, we'll hug the knees into the chest and gently rock from side to side, Apanasana. And preparing for the second side, left crossing all the way over right. Hips go to the left as the knees go to the right. Belly scoops in. Gently press the low back into the floor. Unraveling, unwinding. Once you're all squared up, hugging those knees into your chest. Gently rocking from side to side. Giving those knees a little bit of an extra squeeze. It's a really nice way to release the back after a twist. Just hug the knees in towards the shoulders. Nice and tight. And you're ready to move directly into Shavasana, final resting pose. As always, if your back needs a little extra support today, feel free to keep those knees bent with the feet on the floor. Otherwise, extending the legs, arms along your sides, palms facing up, and closing the eyes. Softening everything, but especially through the neck and the shoulders, and all the way down the arms. Letting the fingers softly curl. Softening through the face. Softening around the eyes. And even the muscle between the eyes. Just letting it all go. And starting to come back. Wiggle the fingers and the toes and gently roll your head from side to side. Then reaching your arms above head on the floor, give yourself a big stretch, feeling totally refreshed. And bending your knees one at a time. And gently roll over to the right side, pausing for just a moment as you come back. And slowly start to press yourself all the way up to a comfortable seated position. And when you arrive, palms facing up on the knees, inhale, sitting up tall, and exhale, softly close the eyes, taking those moments to return to your intention that you set for your practice today. Letting that resonate within you, knowing you're one step closer, and slowly open the eyes. Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.